The Russian heavy tanks are fairly easy to grind down. Starting at the KV-1S, you get a 400 Alpha 122mm. Very good mobility, going upwards of 40 kilometers per hour, and even 8 degrees of gun depression, making this vehicle flexible on a lot of terrain. Then you move on to the IS as the Tier 7 on the line, and what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, the IS is also fairly mobile, having a top speed of 34, but boasting a very solid power-to-weight ratio of 17.0. It boosts up a little bit on the accuracy. It's got the same pen, but the same alpha as well. So you get a lot more DPM and a bit more accuracy than the KV-1S. And you get to keep the alpha, which is great, having that 400 damage per shot at Tier 7. That is still an extremely beefy alpha. Then you make your way to Tier 8, still keeping that 400 alpha, but now you're getting much better accuracy, much better penetration. That is obviously some big upsides over the normal IS. And then finally you get up to the IS-8 and the IS-7. There are a lot of tanks in the IS line, but one thing I can tell you about all of them is they're quite similar on playstyle. Once you learn the KV-1S, you'll do very well in the IS, and once you learn the IS well, you'll do very well in the IS-3 and then the IS-8. It's really just the IS-7 that's a very different playstyle due to its armor actually being quite effective in Tier 10. Now, I wouldn't say that the IS's armor is bad, but it's definitely a bit power-crept. You can penetrate the lower plate with any Tier 7, its side armor is pretty easy to butter through, and its turret, well, it's got some pretty weak cheeks, and that hatch on the roof is not going to be stopping any shells anytime soon. The IS is actually a tank I have not made a video yet on the channel, and I thought that, honestly, now would be a perfect time. For many years in a row, the IS-4 was the preferred choice over the IS-7, and it makes a lot of sense. Not only was it still pretty fast, only 8 slower, but its armor overall was more effective, its gun is still better, and because of that, the IS-4 was always a fan favorite even when it came to comp. However, the IS-7 got buffed, it got massive PBR changes, and because of that, the armor of the IS-7, especially the side armor, became ridiculously troll and hard to penetrate. So now, the turns have tabled, and, well, the IS-7 is now the most popular Tier 10 Russian heavy. So I figured now would be the perfect time to talk about the IS at Tier 7, how you should play it if you're new to the game, grinding down to get the IS-7, which is a fantastic choice, may I add. There is one thing you have to keep in mind, and that is getting to the IS-7. The IS-7 itself is extremely well armored, and even if you're not the best at the game, it is extremely forgiving to a point where you can probably break over a 50% win rate, even if you don't average that. However, when it comes to the Tier 9, like the IS-8, especially grinding at stock, you are going to be in hell. And when it comes to the Tier 8s, like the IS-3, it's not a bad vehicle, but the gun is really the only strength, because the armor, apart from the turret, is really bad, especially when it comes to buffed Tier 8 heavies like the Tiger II. I don't know why Wargaming hasn't given the IS-3 some love, maybe they're waiting to give it PBR, but it definitely deserves a bit of love. The IS is not bad to grind. I can tell you stock, I remember still, to this day, like 5 years ago when I first ground this line, that grinding at stock was probably one of the most traumatizing experiences in my life, but once you get it fully upgraded, it's not too bad, and the KV-1S is great. So this line has kind of the opposite of what you want a good line to be. Like, the IS-8's a really strong vehicle, but it's only strong if you understand how to use it. And obviously, if you're grinding down a line as a beginner, you're not going to fully understand the IS-8 playstyle. So it's kind of weird how the Russian heavy line is better when you're at the lower tiers, but that's just how it is. Now, you can see right there, that is your terrible accuracy. Thankfully, my shell was able to hit that IS-2, and you'll notice that he bounced me. I don't actually know where it hit me, but most likely somewhere in the lower plate. Or not the lower plate, the upper plate, which is good for me. So we're going to push on this IS-2. I've got help from my Tiger P, and even though the Tiger P is stock, as long as I can use him sort of as a meat shield, we should be able to get some beefy shells into this IS-2. Now, the IS-2 and I have the same guns, basically. I think we've got the same pen and alpha, so it's really down to who's doing better here, and as you can see, yeah, that IS-2 is not doing great. Neither is our Tiger P, to be realistic here, but there's not much I can do about a bad teammate. So let's aim it on this ISU-122S. Is he going to poke it? I guess we're going to find out. Come on, go up. Yes, fire. Ooh, 500 damage. One single shell was able to bring a full health tier 7 tank destroyer down to half of its hit points. And that is where this tank feels very, very capable. Let's get a shell into the IS-2, finishing him off, and let's use that good mobility. As you can see, that power to weight is really solid. It's able to stay up at its top speed of 34, basically the entire trip, which is great. Now we just got to push on this ISU-122S and finish him off. We're not going to max roll it, which is pretty common sense, but we should still be able to roll a pretty decent chunk on him. So here we go, 424, I'll take it, and, well, there's not much I'm going to be able to do from him hitting me. Yeah, that's still going to tap me, and you know what the sad part is? This ISU-122S might have actually out-reloaded us, but we got to his side, so it wouldn't matter at this point. So there you go. Nice shell finishing off the ISU-122S. You may have DPM, but you got 500 less hit points than me, which isn't going to help you all too much. Our Tiger P unfortunately died, but thankfully, ooh, hello there, SU-100Y. How you doing, friend? I'll just fire a stand. Oh, that is insane. I cannot believe we just got that. Well, there you go. That is why Alpha is sometimes key, because you can do that. Full health ammo rack. A tier 7, or actually that's a tier 6 tank destroyer. Still can't believe that happened though. Let's make our way over towards the T-29 and the Hellcat. Hopefully this T-70, I lied. Maybe not. Well, I still gotta finish off this Hellcat. I do not have a choice. Looks like the T-29 is pushing towards the base. I'm gonna go this way, behind them. You can see again that mobility is very nice, so that's a definitely big upside for us right now, as we're using that mobility to flank behind the last known position of this T-29 and Hellcat. And really the goal here is just gonna be to finish off that Hellcat. Oh no! Oh, gun, you let me down. That is the downside of the IS right there, is the gun. Well, not much I can do about that, is there? Alright, well, we got the T-29 off to the side, who just literally went right through my hull. As I said before, the hull on this tank is not great. So let's finish off the Hellcat. There you go. Nice. We were able to finish off the Hellcat, which is what we needed to do. Now we just have to drive away from the T-29 using our mobility because we are faster. We have to tackle one shell into the side of his tank. Come on, poke it. You know you want to. And boop. There you go. Beautiful tap. Nice, alright, and we just gotta go ring around the rosy again. Now the T-29 did put on reactive armor, which, not the worst situation for me, but because of that we're in a weird situation, because the T-29, oh yeah, that's not great. Come on, back up, bounce me, oh no! Yeah, I don't think I win this, if I'm gonna be honest, guys. The issue is I just don't have the DPM. This T-29 is most likely going to finish me off, as you can see. Did the best I could, and we didn't do bad, but the T-29, for some reason, has reactive armor, so because of that, we didn't finish him off. Either way, that was still a 3,800 damage battle. Not a bad game at all, but you can see the armor on the IS is not very effective. It used to be, back in the day, pretty decent, but nowadays, the tank just doesn't hold up on its armor profile, so really what you gotta use is the gun, and specifically that Alpha. If that T-29 was not a decent player, which is fairly common to find not so great players down at tier 7, we would have killed him. I mean, you gotta remember that reactive takes away 20% of your Alpha, so we easily would have finished off that T-29 if he was not running reactive. So the IS is still very capable. It's just the fact that the T-29 is probably, I would have to say, the best tech tree heavy in tier 7. It's insane. It's right up there next to the Black Prince, I would say. The fact that it's got 10 degrees of gun depression, armor, and the ridiculous speed boost, plus reactive, and 198 standard pen, yeah, I don't even know what to say. The tier 7's a weird tier. I have a feeling the IS and a lot of the other left behind heavies will be buffed, but I guess we'll have to wait. Here we are loading into our second battle, and funny enough, it's another tier 7 battle. But we do have an Annihilator up against us, and, well, yeah, that's going to be a pain to deal with. That's all there really is to say. The IS does not have a lot of gun depression. It has 6 degrees, I would say. It's not like the KV-1S sitting at 8. It might have 7, but to me that looks like 6, which isn't great for working ridgelines. So I'm not going to work the ridgeline. I'm going to try and push up towards base B. Hopefully the Annihilator isn't going to get me, and of course our Annihilator is running the bad speed boost. I always wonder that. You have the opportunity to run super speed boost on your Annihilator, and you run the normal one. Unless you're trying to save credits, but you're running a premium, what's the point? Oh well. There's the enemy Comet off to the side, aiming, and a fire. Oh, the alpha is great, but the accuracy is trash, and that is really the downside of the IS, is the accuracy is so bad. If you do not get the opportunity to frontline in this vehicle, and you don't get a lot of those opportunities most of the time, especially in Tier 8 games, oh boy, does this gun fall very, very short. So, off to the side, we got a Sentinel, and we got a Comet. I'm hoping this Comet's going to drive forwards, but I doubt it. But I'm going to sit here, and, I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do. Ooh, we got a Tog off to the side. That will be some free damage. There you go. Nice tap into the Tog. And that's 400 hit points. So when it does hit, it feels great. I mean, that's literally a pretty big chunk off that Tog. Now we just reload. I'm going to try and get a shell maybe into this Comet. Here we go. Speed, speed, speed. Let's keep going, and, oh, come on, Comet. Fire! Oh, it went low. That sucks. Again, the accuracy is a really big downside. If that had penetrated with HE, the Comet would have been almost dead at this point. But that's just what happens when you take the gamble of the dice. So we got the Sentinel off to the side, who's pushing up, and we're going to aim in on the Sentinel. Here we go. Boop! Oh, there you go. There's a massive chunk off the Sentinel. And, yeah, I don't think that guy's going to forgive me. Only 174 hit points left. When you can shoot at Tier 6s with this take, it is pretty devastating. You can take off easily half of a Tier 6 hit point pool in one shell. So it's not bad in that aspect. That Comet's going to be overrun and die. The Sentinel, nah, not really worth it for me. So we're going to see if I can get a shell maybe into the Tog or something over here. Speed, speed, speed. Hello. Alright, let me slowly turn my turret to the side. And there's the Annihilator on the enemy team. We're going to aim in an HE and try and actually pen it. There you go. That's a beefy shell. 476 damage there. When you can penetrate the HE, it does hit hard. And you can do it quite a bit, because you got to realize that down at Tier 7 and 6, a lot of tanks don't have an insane chunk of armor. So here comes the Annihilator, and maybe we'll be able to get a shell into his tank. You never know. Well, you know what? We got the Tog over here as well. Let's just aim in on his tank. Get a big slap. Oh, yeah. 389 hit points there. Start reloading again. We're almost up to 2,000 damage dealt in this battle, which is not bad at all. Oh, there goes the Tog with an Amarak, but it was an Annihilator, so would not have made a difference, to be real. Oh, Sentinel's scared of me, but that's not going to stop me from pushing the Annihilator. Here we go. Speed and boop. Nice. We got a pen. And the Annihilator bounced me because I think he was aiming at the Smasher and he just didn't hit me. I don't really know. Either way, not a bad game at all. We did over 2,000 damage. Not as good as the first one, but that first one we got lucky from the Amarak and then really unlucky on the other situation. But there you go, 2,278 damage, and that was a pretty good game to showcase how you should play the IS. You never want to be the center of attention, but you also don't want to be out of position. So what I did was I sort of put myself in the front line where I know that I've got teammates that can take shots from me if they need to, but I can use my big alpha to get some shells in and even the tides of the game. So there you go, not bad battles in the IS at all. I still personally prefer the KV3 because of its massive armor profile plus basically the same alpha. I mean, there's really no downside to the KV3. It's not even that much slower. It's got a power to weight that's a bit worse, but apart from that, it only goes 4 kilometers per hour slower. The KV3, by all regards, is just an IS that's better. But, oh well, that is my review on the IS, and hopefully Wargaming might give it some slight armor buff in the future. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and if you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. Bye-bye.